Making and animating a character drinking juice in a light motion. Here's what I will show you in this tutorial. Making a glass in juice, stylization of the juice, perspective Y of the glass upwards, and juice tilt, both of which will be shown in the character drinking juice part. Animating the character drinking juice, perspective Y downwards of the glass as an extra, juice transition also as an extra. Making the juice. First, add a rectangle. We'll use this to make the glass. Then scale it up and select Convert Outline from the ellipsis. This will turn the rectangle into an editable vector. Afterwards, you can add another rectangle. Position it at the bottom of the 2B glass layer. And use it as a guide to thin the bottom or base of the glass and make it symmetrical. The basic components of a glass include the rim, the body, and the base. Then just get rid of the guide square. Now you have two options. You could either add points and curve the points to make the rim and base of the glass, or you could add two circle shapes and adjust it to make the rim and the base. One option requires fewer steps, while the other is more proportional. I'll show both, but I'd recommend the first one. Easy glass and juice. Add a point in the middle of the rim of the glass, bring it upwards and curve it. Do the same for the base. Then go to Color and Fill to set the color of the glass. Go to the Hue cube and lower the opacity of the color, just to get that translucent effect. Then go to Border and Shadow and enable Stroke. Increase the stroke to your liking. Afterwards, duplicate the glass layer, disable the stroke and set the juice color. Then go to Move and Transform and adjust the scale. Decrease the height scale to make it seem like the juice is on top of the base. Get that width. Then add a circle, adjust the scale and place it on top of the juice. You can completely get rid of the opacity too if you don't like it. Wait, I'll decrease the juice just by. You can delete that top middle point as it can get in the way later on. Duplicate this juice circle, put it on the rim of the glass. Go to Color and Fill and set it to None. Then enable Stroke to create the outline for the rim of the glass. Perfect glass. For this glass, add a circle, then position it in the center of the rim of the glass. And adjust the scale. Duplicate it, bring it to the bottom of the glass, and adjust. Set the color. Then select the layers of the glass and group them. Add the contour lines effect from the Drawing and Edge category. No, this time enabling the stroke or border won't work. Change the color, set the outset to 0 to remove the gap. Increase the width for the outline. then go to this timestamp for the juice. And decrease the fill for the translucent effect. Styling the juice. You can go to color and fill and put on a gradient. For a more realistic and detailed one, you can bring a reference in and copy the reference. Then add rectangles, position it and apply the Gaussian blur effect onto the rectangle. Duplicate, change the color, you'll do great! Oh, and you can clip the shading to the juice. Or you could duplicate the juice and enable mask from blending and opacity and have all the shading layers under the mask. Animating the character drinking the juice. Now bring the juice group behind the character's hand layer. I have the hand and the lower arm separated, but it's alright if you don't separate them as well. It's good to have the hand separated to have control over the wrist movement. Pose the character and place the juice in his hand. Then take the juice group and parent it to the hand. Now I'll start animating the character. Pose, anticipation, then drinking the juice, follow through, then back to the original pose. To put it simply, we'll have the character holding the juice, then have it take the glass to its mouth, then take a few seconds to drink up the juice before going back to holding the juice or pose 0. But as the character goes to pose 0, they have a slight exaggeration, which is the follow-through. Follow-through and delays are a great way to enhance character motion. It happens because of weight and momentum. Follow-through is the continuation of the movement after the main action has stopped. A slight bounce the body needs to adjust when it comes to a halt, you could say. Drinking the juice keyframe. Slightly exaggerated pose 0 or follow-through keyframe. Pose 0 keyframe. Now I'll add bookmarks at the timestamps where we added the keyframes by tapping on the timestamp. By adding bookmarks, we can use these arrows beside the play button to quickly go to that timestamp. These are the main pose frames we can follow. If you understood this much, you can continue animating yourself. I'll go a bit fast now as I'm posing the character while keeping in mind how the character will move. Now we have a simple movement of drinking the juice. I'll delay some keyframes which will make the animation look a bit smoother. See, it is not in line with the bookmark or the keyframes of the other layers. I made it look like it's delayed here, like it's delaying the keyframe after that. You can just delete the keyframes by dragging the keyframes behind a little, or by experimenting. Note this point as we'll be doing some moving the glass like history stuff. I'll be transferring the bookmarks here so we have accuracy when it comes to the timing. Add scale keyframes at this bookmark and the next one. Then go to the middle of those two keyframes and make the height scale go 0. This will create an effect of the glass moving 3-dimensional. Do the same thing for the next 2 points, from where the character goes from sipping the juice to follow through pose. We're making the glass go from this front to behind, then behind to front again. Adjust the glass as well by taking the curved middle point and animating it. Note to add the original pose keyframes first and then the adjustments, as it is always the hardest one to go back to the original one by eyeing it. I'll make the rim of the glass fade to half its opacity to create the effect that it is behind the translucent glass, and we'll do it by adding a keyframe 1 millisecond or 1 frame right after the rim of the glass turns into this line. Then duplicate the rim of the glass to turn it into the butt or bottom of the glass. Since the rim is a circle, tap on the ellipsis and select Convert to Outline to turn it into a vector. Unlock the vector and then delete the middle point, leaving only a semicircle. Adjust it and then animate the middle point. Make it appear when the back rim is in view. And delete the opacity keyframes, keep the opacity at 50%. Now we'll make the juice flow to the rim, to the mouth. Take the juice point of one side and place it at the rim of the glass after adding the keyframes. When the juice will flow to the rim of the glass, the liquid would, of course, balance. Lower the point to create the effect of the juice being drunk and decreasing in the glass. Then curve the bottom of the juice to show it sits on top of the base. To copy paste the keyframe to the next timestamp, just add a keyframe on the next frame and drag it to the desired timestamp. We are going to make the top part of the juice disappear when it's rotating y-axis. So split it in the middle of the keyframes when the rim of the glass turns into a line, both times. Add keyframes and set height scale to 0 at the end of the keyframe. Rotate and adjust it as well. And for the second part, make the height scale 0 in the starting. At this part, I'm going to do a little juice tilt as the glass is being tilted in the character's hand. To make the juice tilt, rotate the juice top, then adjust the juice vector points. I'd recommend getting a reference, a glass filled with water or juice. Here's a video of me doing a little for you. Liquid physics. You can also make height scale adjustments for a greater effect. Something's bugging me. I think the glass rim should be wider, a bit of more perspective. Exactly right where the cat is drinking it. We can do it by making the rim of the glass wider using height scale. Make necessary adjustments, we'll just copy paste the keyframes for the other parts later. Adjust the bottom too. Make necessary adjustments before moving on to the mouth, the drinking part. I brought in two simple mouths to not overcomplicate this. We'll have to make the character open its mouth right before the glass comes to the mouth. Now I'll paint the starting of the mouth layer. This is a smooth and bouncy technique from my mouth tutorial. And adjust the ending of the closed mouth layer. We'll do the same thing, thinning at the starting and ending. Glass wife. We learned the glass wife showing bottom in the character drinking juice part. This is basically the same thing but easier. Adapt the glass vector, curve down the bottom and adjust the juice accordingly. Juice transition. Group the juice layers, the top part of the juice and juice body, then duplicate it. Go to blending and opacity and enable mask. Then take the juice and add location keyframes, bring the juice down at the start of the layer. You can add the ease in out easing. Have a nice day!